Hey guys, AntVenom here, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. And today I'm going to be showing you guys the 1.5 update. Now I'm not going to be doing this in my traditional fashion where I cover everything in one take because there's just way too many things to cover in this update. And this isn't going to be a video covering absolutely every single little nitty-gritty detail, but it is going to be covering all of the major things. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's launch right into it. So the first item on the list here is the Redstone Comparator, and basically the way it works is it has one of two different modes that can be toggled via a right click. This is sort of like a subtractive mode, and then this is sort of like an on and off type mode. And essentially the way it works is the Redstone Comparator compares redstone signals that come in from the back and from the side here. So what I have here, what I have set up, is a bunch of different levers that have different redstone powers, and something to consider is that the lower the number, the stronger the signal. So if I go ahead and I right click on like this switch here, you notice that the whole system itself turns off, because when it's in this sort of on and off mode, it compares, like I said, the back signal to the side signal, and if the signal that comes in from the side is stronger than the one that comes in from the back, it turns the entire thing off. It doesn't actually output a signal at all. But if I go ahead and I flip this one, for example, where it is a 5 versus a 4, the system itself is going to stay on because, again, this signal right here is weaker than the one that is coming in from the back. And if I go ahead and I right click on the comparator here, it turns into a sort of subtractive mode type thing, wherein if I hit this right here, if I hit the 3 and then the 4 over here is active, there's no redstone signal that's outputted, because actually 3 minus 4, because it does the side minus the back, the 3 minus the 4 is equal to -1, and therefore it's just not going to do anything. But if I go ahead and I flip the 5 here, you're going to notice that it outputs 1 redstone signal right here. And if I go ahead and I flip the 7 here, it's going to output 3. So that's essentially how the redstone comparators work. So the next item on the list are the hopper blocks. And essentially what these blocks are is they are a block that allows you to automatically collect items and move them into other containers. So it's not limited to just chests. You can move it into literally any container that, when you right click on it, has the ability to store items. And as I said before, the way it works is you can just kind of drop the items in, and it will automatically start dispensing them into whatever container they are attached to. And this isn't just limited to putting items in from the top. If I go ahead and I like jump here and I start throwing the items in here, they kind of bounce off. I think it's because the diamonds themselves are actually working right now, but let's go ahead and let's try this. There we go. So you can see there, now they are just dispensing in just like that, and dispensing automatically into the chest. And the way that the hoppers actually operate is that if you go ahead and you right click and place one on the ground here, you can see that it sort of looks like a funnel, and that's exactly how it operates. It's going to dispense items into whatever area the funnel itself is pointing into. So if I go ahead and I start stacking these on top of each other here, you have to hold shift in order to stack one on top of another. But then if I go ahead and I hold shift and I kind of stack one right there, you can see that the funnel itself is pointing towards the hopper that I had placed it on last, and this will apply with any block that you place it on. So if I go ahead and I place an iron ore in here and then take a look right there, you can see, wow, it already made it there. That's how fast it is. Like, I'm not even able to look fast enough. There we go. So you can see the hoppers just sort of string the items along until it reaches the very last one. And then if I were to go ahead and I were to do something like this, and I were to go ahead and I were to attach them all up, there we go. Now, if I go ahead and I take a look at the chest here, there's only 4 iron ore in here. If I go ahead and I placed it in there, all of the iron ore are going to eventually make their way into the chest, because the hopper line makes it all the way to the chest. And as I said before, this isn't limited to just chests. If I go ahead and I toss the items into this hopper here, they are going to dispense into the dispenser, and it allows for some really, really neat opportunities. What I have here is sort of like a little amateur device set up here. If I go ahead and I right click on this chest here, you can see it's chock full of diamonds, but only 1 stacks, which means it won't let any other items in. And then this one is full of iron ore and gold ore, so it's going to allow me to automatically organize these items. So if I go ahead and I do this here, and then you can kind of see this hopper is filling up with the diamonds. If I go ahead and I turn on the track here, let's just go ahead and let's push these along here. Push that one, and then push that one. You can see now, if I go ahead and I take a look at this here, it is taking 1 diamond out at a time each time that chest passes by, and then you can't really see it with the gold ore because it's still filling up. But there is gold ore being dispensed out as well. So let's see here, or maybe not. Let's just there you go. So let's see here. Let's see. Actually, let's go and let's take these out. Let's kind of watch the number subtract here. So diamonds, and then that's... Seems kind of weird that it's not doing that. That's kind of odd. I'm actually really curious about that. That's really... Oh, I know why. because it's actually going to prioritize on sucking out all the diamonds first. Once the diamonds are gone, it's going to start with the gold ore, and then it's going to start with the iron ore afterwards. So it does have a bit of a priority in that it will only dispense this item first, then this one, this one, this one, and this one. So it can allow for, you know, some really unique things. I'd recommend checking out Seth Link's channel if you wanted to really know some of the nitty-gritty things that you can do with this device. So the next item on the list is the dropper block, and essentially it is very similar to the way that the dispenser works, but it will only ever drop the items that are in the dropper. It will not dispense them out like firing arrows out of a dispenser or anything like that. You see, if I just spam this here, it allows me to get whatever potions or arrows I want, and you can kind of set that up for your mini game if that's something that you want to do. But if I go ahead, let's just put these back here. If I go ahead and I right-click on the dispenser now, you can see very similar items are placed in the dispenser now. But if I go ahead and I activate the switch here, it instead dispenses out the items. It kind of like throws it. Like this one, you could call the dropper, and this one's the thrower right here. So it's not going to dispense the items out in the same way. It doesn't necessarily apply for every single item because there's no real way that it could do something like, you know, for example, that. Like, there's no real way that it could, like, place a door or something like that. But it allows you to do things like, you know, like this one. You can, I believe, let's just go ahead and let's try this here. If I go ahead and I take a lava bucket like this and I place it in here, the dispenser itself will actually dispense out the lava. But if I go ahead and I use the dropper here, let's go ahead and let's put that in and take everything else out. It will actually dispense out a bucket of lava. So those are a couple of changes that were made there, and they are very useful blocks. Yeah, it's very good now, in my opinion, that there's more than just the dispenser. Another cool feature that was added in with this update is called the Activator Rails, and also the minecarts with TNT, and these sort of both work together. And essentially what the Activator Rail is whenever it's powered by redstone here, you can see on the other side it's powered by redstone, it will activate the minecart with TNT, and it will set off an awesome explosion. So if I go ahead and I place the minecart with TNT down on the track here, and then I push it off here, you can see that as soon as it hits the Activator Rail right there, it's going to set it off, and then after its typical tick cycle, it is going to explode. And funny thing is if it explodes while it's on the track like this, if it's on the Activator Rail or off like that, it will not actually blow up the minecart system that you have. It will blow up anything that actually powers the system. So if I were to go ahead and have my switch right here, it would blow that up, but it does allow for some really neat opportunities. But one thing I would recommend not doing, like I did before with this device, is setting off one after another, after another, after another, because if you get them too close together, when they explode, you're going to get a chain reaction that's going to just destroy so many of them. And I know you guys want to see that, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that here in just a second. So yeah, you can see like they'll stack on top of each other and explode at the same time, so they're not going to explode separately, which can allow for some very epic effects. So bam, 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 bam. Let's see if it'll happen. Oh no, I don't think I set them off soon enough. Okay, let's try that one again. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, let's try this here. Okay, come on. Come on, we can do this. We can do this. You'll hear a really loud explosion if it works. Okay, come on. We can do this. Come on. Whoa, what's going... There you go. Yeah, that'll happen. So anyways, let's move on. So the daylight sensor is a very neat little block that will emit a certain redstone signal depending on what time of the day it is. As you can see right here, it is high noon, so it is outputting an absolutely maximum signal. But if I go ahead and I type in something like time set, let's just try 13,000, you know, getting a little closer to evening here, you can see that the way I have this device actually set up, let me go ahead and let me delete that there. If I go ahead and I set it to 13,000 here, you can see that it is almost pretty much completely sunset. And this signal is about to die out completely. If I go ahead and I set it to 16,000, it will die out completely because there is now absolutely no daylight that is hitting the ground. So let's just go ahead and let's set it to, let's just try 8,000 or something like that. You can see that it puts out an almost full signal. If I go ahead and I do, let's do 9,001 here, you can see that the signal drops just a little bit more. And like I said before, this little device that I had set up here, basically whenever the light level would drop far enough and this right here would turn off, or no, whenever this one would turn off, because it would turn off this one as well, it would light up this torch, which hooks up to this command block that basically just sets the time to day. So if I go ahead and I do that again here, let's just do 13,001 here. You can see it automatically activates the device and sets it to be daytime. And like I said before, whenever it is nighttime, the device itself just kind of turns off and won't emit a redstone signal at all. So let's go ahead and let's do that there. Yep, it is off. Won't emit a redstone signal whatsoever. So this devilish looking item here that kind of looks like a chest that it has a little bit of a nosebleed going on here is called the trap chest, and it's very simple the way it works. When you go ahead and you right click on it and you have the chest open, it is going to emit a redstone signal, and it's going to emit a redstone signal equal to the amount of players that are looking into the chest. So if I go ahead and I place down a repeater or something like that, then it really won't matter because it'll emit a full signal no matter what. But if you want to have a custom adventure map that maybe requires a door to be open, like, you know, in order for a certain amount of players to be looking at a chest, it'll emit a redstone signal, like I said, based on the amount of players that are looking in the chest. So 2 players will equal a 2 signal, 3 a 3, 4 and 4, etc., etc., etc. So what these little guys over here is they are weighted pressure plates, and they don't actually activate based on your steps or anything like that. They're actually activated by items, and they're activated based on the amount of item stacks that are on the given pressure plates. So this one right here doesn't require nearly as much as this one. That's why this one is called the lightweight one, and this one is the heavyweight one. This one won't even activate unless it has pretty much a full stack of something on there. It'll emit a redstone signal of 2 when it has a item stack of 64 there. If I go ahead and I just kind of manually throw the items on here, let's make sure it lands, and I start spamming this one down here, you can see that the amount of repeaters that are lighting up is going higher and higher and higher based on the amount that I'm actually throwing onto the repeater itself. And let's just go ahead and let's spam a bunch more there. But if I go ahead and I start throwing them on this one right here, you can see that it's only putting out a signal of 1 with the amount that I'm throwing right now. And if I go ahead and I just keep spamming my Q key here, you can see that it's just taking an absolute, like, a pretty lengthy amount of time in order to, you know, get really much of a redstone signal out of it at all. So for whatever devices you have to make, you can adjust the you can have whatever sensitivity pressure plated activation you want. So this block right here is called the Redstone Block, and its name is very, very self-explanatory. It will automatically emit a redstone signal by itself. You can even place redstone on the top of it, and no matter what side you place redstone on, it will emit a redstone signal. And it can be used for some very neat things, like I have over here. I have a little setup along the back here. I have a daylight sensor on the top, a piston, and the redstone block right here, but because it's not actually attached to the lamps, it's not outputting anything. But if I go ahead and I set it to nighttime here, you can see the daylight sensor is no longer operational, which pulled the piston up, which now allows for some really neat lamp ideas. And I think that this is a very cool looking thing because the dark wood kind of matches, you know, the look of the daylight sensor up there. And I think it looks really, really cool. And again, a very, very simple block that goes a long way. So this block right here is called the Nether Quartz, and they're one of the very few items that can now spawn within the Nether, and it can be mined up with literally any pickaxe, and when mined up, it gives you a little bit of experience, and it gives you a Nether Quartz. And there are a bunch of various different recipes that go into this. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to try and speed through all these here. So if you want to create a Nether Quartz, or a block of quartz here, you go ahead and you place four of them in this fashion, and you will get a block of quartz. Let's go ahead and let's split these ones up as well. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. And if I want to go ahead and I want to mess with the different crafting recipes here, basically, let's go ahead and let's create some Nether Quartz stairs here. So this will give me quartz stairs. If I go ahead and I place 2 of them like this, I am going to get a pillar quartz block. Yeah. And then if I go ahead and I place 3 of them just like this, I am going to get quartz slabs. And if I go ahead and I take 2 of the quartz slabs and put them together, I actually get a chiseled quartz block. So if I go ahead and I place these on the ground here, these are what these various blocks look like. So this one is the chiseled quartz block, this one is the pillar quartz block, these are the quartz stairs, and then these ones are just the regular plain old crappy block of quartz. Crappy little crappy blocks of crappy quartz. Crappy. Super crappy. A couple of new commands that were added into the game are called /effect and /scoreboard. And essentially the way that /effect works, if I go ahead and I type in /effect and then I hit tab here, you can see it says my name. If I go ahead and I hit enter, it tells you how to properly use the command here. If I go ahead and I hit effect AntVenom, and then you have to type in the number code for the effect. If I go ahead and I type in something like 1 for the effect, seconds, let's go ahead and let's do like 15 or something like that, and then amplifier 5. Why not? It gives me speed 5, and then boom, you just run like crazy. And kind of fun fact that I learned from SethBling is that once you hit a certain speed multiplier, I think it's speed 3, running and jumping no longer is the best way to go. Instead, you want to start just sprinting like crazy because you will go way, way faster. And the way that the scoreboard commands work is, well, this one's a little bit hard to explain in one video, but I did explain it in a previous snapshot. But if you go ahead and you type in scoreboard and then you hit enter here, you can kind of see the way to properly use this command. If you go ahead and you hit space and then tab after typing in in the command, you can see the various things that you can do, and then hit space and tab, and you can go ahead and you can mess around with the way this works. But essentially what it does is allows you to track various things like deaths, kills, whatever, and you can it'll track basically that, and you can have it display on the right side of the screen, with the players' names and whatever you are tracking, or you can have it track in the tab list if you are on a multiplayer server. So another cool feature that was added into the game is the ability to customize mob names of the various mob eggs that you have. So if I go ahead and I right click on an anvil here and I drop in something like spawn slime and I change it to Jerry Jr. or something, because nobody can ever replace Jerry Jr. And I go ahead and I instead of spawn villager, I put in Squidward or something like that. And then I go ahead and I right click on the ground here. You can see that it is going to spawn Squidward, apparently the blacksmith, and Jerry Jr., the slime. Yeah, Jerry Jr. hopping around. But by default, the range is a little bit screwy, though. Not really too sure why that is. You can see that you can't really see the name from a distance. So that would be something that would be kind of cool, is for the name to be seen from a further distance. But I think that is something that is possible through various MC edit techniques or NBT edit techniques. So that pretty much covers it for all of the main updates. A couple of the more minor updates is that if I go ahead and I go into my inventory here and I hold down shift and I start dragging these items all over the place, you can see that it's going to start separating the items like so here, and it is pretty cool. And if I go ahead and I double click on a stack here just like that after picking it up, it is going to automatically consolidate all of the items down into one manageable stack for me. And a couple of the other changes is that texture packs can now have separate images for each block and item, or rather they have separate images for each block and item, and you can also add animations in for certain blocks, but it can get very lag intensive, but it can be good, if you want like a block or something like this maybe to sparkle or just something like that. You can do some really detailed things. If I go ahead and I hit escape here and then I go to video options, you can see that there are now 3 different smooth lighting settings. There's now off, minimum, and maximum. If you guys want to test that out for yourselves to see what it is like, go ahead, because I'm on a super flat world. I kind of can't really show you guys all that well. But again, some of the other changes is that there are more detailed death messages. Some of the mobs are way harder now on hard difficulty. There are many bug fixes, and once again, they removed Herobrine. So anyways, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed my 1.5 overview video. If you guys like the sort of change in format, the way that I did this here, instead of explaining everything all at once and kind of like probably screwing up most of the time, then feel free to leave a comment about it in the comment section down below. If you didn't like it, feel free to leave a comment about that as well. Whatever you fancy, feel like leaving a comment about it, go ahead and do it. So anyways, guys, hope you all have enjoyed this video. My name is AntVenom, and I bid you all farewell. Thanks so much for watching.